in the room and on. I'll say it again. Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Community Advisory Board CAP for the AB 109 Public Realignment General Body Meeting. Before I get started, I just want to make a note that we have two members that will be joining us late. So Rolanda and Tracy will be walking in as we're in the meeting, and as they walk in, I'll probably stop and allow them to introduce and acknowledge themselves. So we'll go ahead for the sake of time and start the meeting. My name is Nicole Green. Today's date is November 14th, and the time is roughly around 10, I don't know, 2, and we will call the meeting to order. So we're going to first start off by going over who we are and our purpose. Like to always start off with that at each meeting, just in case we have individuals in the meeting that's not familiar with CAB. So who we are the Community Advisory Board CAB on the Public Safety Realignment, which was established by the Community Corrections Partnership, CCP.
Uh-oh, I think they froze.
Okay, give me 1 second. Thank you all. Okay, take two.
Okay, so I don't know where they heard me leave off. I'll start over.
Yeah.
Push record again.
Oh, no, it's recording.
Okay,
We
I'ma
heard you
start-
introduce yourself, Nicole, and that was it.
okay. So I was just going into, sorry about that, you all. I was going into the purpose of CAB, who we are. And then jumping back into the purpose, we advise the county's consideration of the bulk, scope, and impact of the criminal justice system on individuals, their families, and our local community by providing input on community needs, assess the implementation of the AB 109 Public Safety Realignment implementation. We review data on outcomes, advise the CCP on engagement with the community. We offer recommendations regarding programs, services, and funding opportunities to better serve the reentry population. Now that we have covered who we are and our purpose, let's review some quick housekeeping items. So some housekeeping items I want to follow for those that are in the room and Zoom on how to provide public comment. For those for those in the Zoom that are in the public, please keep your participation on mute. And for those that are on the phone, please use *6 to mute and unmute. We will hear comments first from the board on items discussed today, and then from the public in the room first, and then on Zoom by raising your hand. Okay. We are going to now move into agenda items for today. And I know the Zoom dropped, so I'll just repeat it again. We have a couple of members that will be joining late, and as they join in, I will allow them to introduce themselves. Okay, so our very first agenda item is going to be our roll call and introductions. Before I have Garyana do the roll call, please keep in mind as you be going around the table, please state your district where you either work and or reside and your role within CAB. Garyana, can you call roll, please? For CAB members.
Nicole Green.
Nicole Green, Chair of CAB, East County, here.
Brenda Lee. I apologize for the technical difficulties. We're trying to reconnect to the cab right now, so please give us 5 minutes. Thank you for your patience. We'll be back online really soon.
Justin, you know, your whatever device you're using, the background is blurred. And you're muted. Perfect.
That's very funny. And it's on recording. That's great. Okay.
You are amazing.
Go, Justin.
Go team.
Oh, it's, everybody's doing it. Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
We can't see you. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, there it is. You okay? You hear us okay?
Sounds good.
Oh,
All
perfect.
right, we're gonna-
Okay, take quick. All right. Quick thinking. All right. Picking up where we left off.
All right, I'm ready to go, Nicole.
We were doing roll call. I think we left off on.
Okay. Brenda.
Oh, okay, Brenda Lee, West County. I'm a member of the OCEC subcommittee.
Tiffany and I am representing East County. And I am a member of the Program and Service Committee.
Rena Hurley in our West County, and I'm on the Program and Services Committee, subcommittee.
Good morning, Marcus DeWall, East County. I'm on OCEC.
Good morning, Justin Van Zerber, West County Policy and Budget.
Good morning, Chaplain Alexandria, all counties, and I'm on OCEC.
Good morning, Demetria Lawrence, CEC. Oh, East County.
Tracy Simpson, Central County.
There's no staff in the room, so we'll go ahead and move on.
Good morning, Garyana Youngblood, Office of Reentry and Justice.
And for, let's,
Jill Ray, the Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson.
if our guest kids do say stuff on Zoom, please. We can start with Doug, Jenna, or Ned, or Susan. Does everyone want to go first?
Nice. Susan Woodhouse from Public Defender's Office.
Welcome.
Good morning, Doug Leach with the Multi-Faith Action Coalition.
Welcome, Doug.
Good morning, Annette Corvo with Center Force West program.
Welcome back, Ned.
Well, thank you.
Good morning, Janet Evans, Game Plan for Success, Office of Education.
Welcome, Janice. So good morning, everyone. On to our agenda 2, which is public comment on any items under the jurisdiction of the community and agenda. Is there any public comments in the room that are on the agenda? Quiet bunch today? No. Any public comment on Zoom? Seeing none, we will move right along. Moving along to agenda item number 3, which is consider approval for the consider approval of the record of action for October 10th, 2024 CAB general meeting. I will be looking for a motion, a second. And so we can please pull up that attachment. I'll give you a second to review it. Do I have the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, Gary, did you get that?
Who was the second?
Tria. Can you take vote, please?
Yes. Nicole?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
Justin?
Aye.
Raina Hurley?
Aye.
Marcus?
I'll abstain, I was absent.
Tracy?
Aye.
Demetria?
Aye.
Tiffany?
Aye.
Alexandria? Motion carries.
Alright. So we're gonna now move over to agenda item number 4, which is consider approving the CAP application for a new membership to be considered for approving, to be approved by the CCP, which is for Ms. Ashley. Lord, today is that day. Ashley Grant. I don't see her on Zoom.
She's not
the
here.
Okay, the application is in here. Now I was going to make a recommendation, because we do have 2 other applications that have OCEC with next meeting. Yes. No.
That's fantastic.
Huh?
That's fantastic.
Yes, you know. Yes. So my recommendation went out. I was hoping that she was here to at least give everybody feedback from her and why she applied. But we all know that I would sort of propose for us to wait until they review the other applicants so that we can move them all to CCP if we want to move forward to read. Also, we'll have an update in reference to Jeffrey's seat, because right now we don't have a particular seat for everyone to talk alternative, but we'll know by then if his seat will be available. So someone could possibly move into his position. So I think it would be best that we, it's not here anyway, to hold off, allow them to do the next 2 interviews and bring everybody back into December. Also, it's perfect timing because the retreat will be in January, so it's a perfect segue into the new year. So how do you all feel about that?
Can I make a motion?
I don't think we have to vote. Do we have to vote? I don't have to vote on that, right? To hold off?
No, I don't think you have to vote on that.
Okay. Do anyone from OCEC want to give any feedback from what they've learned at the last applicant, or just wait to see?
I think we just wait and go along with your recommendation.
Okay, everybody else is okay with that?
Great.
Make some good recommendations. I'm on the road today. All right. So just to recap, we are recommending on reviewing the application for Ms. Brown. Our December meeting and make that decision then, and also give an update on Jeffrey if there's going to be an available seat.
We already have one alternate, correct?
No,
Did that person drop?
yes. Everything. Yes. Yes. Sorry, I thought you guys were aware.
No.
Move forward to our next agenda item. Seeing none. Right, so we're gonna move next to number 5, which is discuss the. So I wanted to ask you to include our calendar for 2024 to look at our remainder dates. And also just get a glimpse and a look at what 2025 will look like. So right now, thank you for pulling that up. If we look at 2024, gives you an idea of, and I know some of the changes right in reference to our committee meetings based on availability. If we need to adjust them, we will. But I wanted to bring this up so that we're all aware, especially for 2025, we can go to the next one. As I know that we have a lot of new board members and we will discuss all this during next retreat. But as we go into the new year, I wanted you to kind of have this in front of you to kind of pinpoint some of these dates. Again, some of these can change as we get closer to them, but I already started getting things marked on your calendar. So that we can make sure that we meet quorum. If you know ahead of time.
No, finish your statement.
Oh, if you know ahead of time and maybe some of those days conflict with something, but kind of give you to start looking at things, to kind of prepare for it, especially if you're joining some of the subcommittees. If we want to make sure that we go into this next year, trying to be able to be at the meetings as we can. We all work. I want everyone to keep in mind that things can be flexible. We can move things around. They're not all set in stone, but to be comfortable with having that discussion with each other to move things when we need to. And if someone on your committee needs to adjust something, to be flexible so that we can meet the needs for the board and our, personal things as well. So I wanted to, open us up for discussion. We will have as a next item more deep dive into the retreat. But wanted to just have that overview. Also make some pinpoints of, the emails that Garyana send out, that communication is extremely important. Please try to organize if you can yourself to respond to those things and keep an eye on those things. For the leadership team, she'll send out emails that we need to respond to within a certain time frame. And I know it can be very difficult. So like for myself, I'll be honest, I have her sending it to every email address that I have. Reminders that pop up and tell me if it's her, just so I can make sure that there's anything I have to do. Sometimes there's meetings that we may ask for CAB members to join, such as like the CCP meeting or the board of Supervisors. She may not have to be there in person, but if we can have as many members to support the recommendations that we're putting out there, will be extremely important. I'm always there, especially as the chair, and Justin's there as the vice chair, but to try to get as many people as we can to engage. So I really want to start off the next year, trying to get the ground running and just making sure everybody feel comfortable again with saying, this date don't work because we change it or something like that. So that's why this is placed there. Any questions on what the expectations are next year? And again, we will go into a deeper dive when we do the actual retreat, but I wanted to pinpoint that here because I know it can be overwhelming. I know it can be a lot with your work stuff that's going on, and then you see an email from Garyana that I'm texting you, or it may be email. So just trying to prioritize those things. Letting me know what time works best for you. If doing work hours don't work and it's better to come reach out to me, I want to be respectful for everybody's time in reference to communicating with you. So I just want to, again, try to bring that comfort back here for everyone to know, let's be open about our will and availability and the support need that you have. So I'll have you kind of go around the table and see if there's any questions that folks have, feedback that you want to give me, have to share, and does any of these dates or anything kind of stand out to you? I know it's not 2025 yet. But
So I, wanted.
oh, yeah, go ahead. Just make sure you announce yourself so they can know who's talking.
To Gariana, it's Demetria. I have a question about, I know when we, last month, we talked about the subcommittee that we would be joining and looking at. I have a conflict, a standing conflict on the third Tuesdays for the outreach and community engagement
Right.
meetings. And so I know that you previously mentioned we could probably discuss them if, but I want to check with the resident community member on that subcommittee as well.
And that's what I was going to propose. So I know right now, Mark is finishing out as the interim chair for the year. And then at the retreat, we'll make some adjustments, but that will be a discussion that you all can have if that's something that you're able to do.
Okay.
If the committee is willing to move that date out and allow you guys to have that discussion. If not, and that particular committee does not work out for you, then it would look at programs and services and or policy and budget.
Okay.
So the next meeting is next week on Tuesday, right, at 10 o'clock? Yeah. So I would recommend at that meeting, have that discussion. At least now they kind of know. So I would recommend, since she's bringing it to the table right now, as we walk away today, look and see if that's even something that's possible. And if it's not, then it's not, then keep it on that Tuesday, and then just pick another committee that may work best for you. Right now, programs and services is on a Thursday. And again, the same option has been left to them if they want to move it around. And then policy and budget, what we have done is we determine our next meeting at our meeting. So it's not standing anymore to scheduling.
Got it.
And everyone has that option. It does have to be set on a date. You can schedule it at your meeting. If it becomes more difficult.
Demetrius, at the time or the date.
It's that I have a work meeting that I hold every third Tuesday and I leave the meeting. And there's campus stakeholders that I'm with, so. I can have someone facilitate next Tuesday so I can attend the meeting. For us to discuss more in detail, but that's the only thing. Just kind of thinking
Because I mean, I'm speaking for, Brandon, I think we could be flexible to find a team, a time that's suitable. We only have 2 members.
So
Three. You got it already, 3.
Oh, okay.
yes.
You're so new.
Sorry. Yeah, my apologies. It's been right next to it. I mean, yeah.
And the time is, I have the meeting at 10 and then outreach meets at 11. So I couldn't get from the campus back here. Yeah. So if it was maybe like 11:30, I could do that, but that's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want another option. I know Gariana can send out emails and have that discussion before the meeting. So whatever you guys prefer, I'll let you lead that part of it. But I appreciate you bringing that here. But again, I want everyone to feel like that nothing is set in stone. So be comfortable with having that discussion and flexible with the rest of your committee to move on if you need to. Any other feedback?
I appreciate you all just providing these calendars because I'm already working the 2025 calendars like first and freshly, so I can tie this all right in there and block out my calendar on 6 days of time. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it as well.
I love the addition of the recommended activity. I think it
Yes.
provides like an overview of the year. So that's really helpful for me. We do have some blanks here, and I see the last 2 are just ambassador report outs. One of the things that CAB has been struggling with is consistency of participants due to just kind of complex scheduling and outside requirements or commitments. So I'm curious if, like, in the bylaws, we're held to holding monthly meetings, or if we do have like a month where there's a gap or we plan a gap that we could schedule out to give people more flexibility in this.
So technically, normally we would run into what we did this year. So we would have got started in this around August, September. So we normally have enough time to get started. Usually OCEC will work on getting the ambassador information put together and already have that so that we have months to get this assignment done. The impact that we had was due to CAB members leaving, but kind of at the last minute.
Right.
So we do have the proper time allocated for this, so that people don't feel stretched in reference to getting it done. The reason why it's noted for November 13th as well as the 12th is because that's the deadline to bring it back here. So
So don't
you-
we include those in our recommendation to CCP?
Yes,
So
we
need it
do.
done before that.
So it's usually, I think the reason why we have it on December is because of this year, so it's usually done by November. We can adjust, if you can remove it from the 12-11 one. So we usually, our deadline is by November that we expect for all CAB members to have their final results into the full CAB. And then we report that in December to the
The CCP.
CCP.
Is
yes.
it December that we do it?
Yes, so in December, you and I, that's when we actually do that recommendation, the budget
Yes.
and all that feedback to the CCP.
So the 5th is when we'll have our ambassador report outs.
No, let me go. 11/13, that meeting is the actual like deadline, everything should be done. However, around August and September, as you can see, so at August 14th is when we start. So that's kind of when OCEC, and they're already looking at things and working on it, so I have a lot of faith of next year that
Oh, yeah.
everything will already be put together. So by the time August get here, I believe that things should be revamped and changed, and then being able to be provided to the committee, that we have enough time between August, September, and October to reach out to our assigned individuals and get those reports out back to November. We just been running really thick, really up against time.
I think we might even be stretched there. So in October, you have approved budget proposal request. So the full CAB has to review it before it goes to CCP.
Which one for?
This is 10-9. It says approved budget proposal request.
Right, so usually what's submitted to us is, so what's submitted to the full is the outline of the budget and our recommendations.
Right.
Those things are sent out before the meeting. So the expectation of CAB is when Gary is sent out, all members look at it before they get
Right,
here.
but we want to include the ambassador meetings into that information. And if we're
Right.
doing that in October and reporting on the ambassador in November, we can't.
No, the only thing that so when we say approved budget proposal request and narrative, because we can make some adjustments if we need to. So what we're reporting in October is our recommendations, which comes from our surveys and what we've done in policy and budget.
Okay,
And any budget adjustments that we've made in that committee is what we're reporting to the full board. We may have some ambassador report outs before then, but the deadline is November. If anyone has any ambassador meetings done before November, they can report those at any of our CAB meetings. If we get to that time frame and there's some maybe someone gave some feedback that
Yeah.
maybe one of the individuals want to say, hey, CAB, we want you to work on this going forward. We can then go back and adjust our narrative that we're going to submit to the CCP. Like we kind of did this year, and then get everyone to approve on it, write it up, and it can be shared. So there's ways that we can communicate with the full board that don't have to be at a full meeting. So think of our process with the 819 access funds, how we had to make some adjustments, email it out, give folks feedback because we couldn't do everything at the meeting. That same flow will kind of follow if there was some adjustments. So I know it seems kind of crunch.
oh, it's not crunch. I just think that if we agree to do the ambassador meetings earlier, like before this budget proposal request, then it can just be included. That's
So-
what I was trying to articulate. I
so
don't know if
let's-
that makes sense though.
No, so how about, because again, that's something that I was gonna allow OCEC to be able to have a discussion because they're responsible for it. So can we, I think maybe that's something that we can discuss at our retreat
Cool.
as we go into the next year, right? Because the members may change.
Yeah.
And then because that'll be their task that they have to work on. Go ahead, Jill.
I think that's great.
I was just going to support what Justin was just saying, just knowing what our calendars look like in our office in November and December. It's really better to try and get onto a supervisor's calendar earlier rather than later. Our calendars, you would think things slow down in the holidays, but they don't.
Or, so we can add that to a retreat discussion. I think that'll be a great opportunity to, and that's really some good input to move that up. Jill, just for your office, what months kind of work better for you guys?
Yeah, October is fine if you want to do it in the fall. Otherwise, I would say late spring, summers summers were around and there's not board meetings, but I don't know other supervisors, what their schedules look like. But we're around in the summertime. It tends to be a little slower. Definitely the 5th week of any month is always the slowest because there aren't any standing meetings on those. So just some hints. And then the Board of Supervisors are going to be meeting twice a month going forward in 2025, rather than the current schedule. So that'll give us a little bit more time in between Board of Supervisors meetings.
And my apologies, I misunderstood what you were asking me, but that's a great.
Oh, no, you're good.
That's a great recommendation to bring. So I think we should talk about that, and that's a good segue also in reference to programs and services, because you guys will have to go out and meet the CBOs and things like that. So something to think about at the retreat. And again, this is not set in stone. So as you walk away, if you see other recommendations like what Justin gave, please bring them. I want to hear y'all feedback so that we can change a little bit, change some of the things that we're doing. If you see something that may work better, I'm open to suggestions. I think we are as a whole committee, so definitely make some notes as we go and get ready for our retreat. And then Brenda, you take notes, because as we work on getting this retreat together. Point into the agenda item. Okay, but I'm not sure. Fine, bring them. All right.
Nicole, before we move on, I just wanted to point out something about the subcommittees. Our retreat takes place in January, so the January meeting date for each subcommittee is usually canceled. Just to keep that on your radars. So subcommittees usually don't meet in January to accommodate for the retreat.
And give you some feedback on that for those that are new. And thank you for reminding me of that. That means in February, we kind of hit the ground running because we already missed a month. So we jump right into our work plans and getting things started. Thank you, Garyana. Anything else? No? Let's go. Moving like speed of light.
Are we, I'm guessing there's a group working on the planning. Are you planning on doing elections in December again? Like we did last year. So that way, when we hit retreat, we already have people in place, and all that's just sort of sorted out.
So that is a good point. I didn't go through that process with Crawford, so we can make a note of that to do elections and.
Ariana, did you catch that?
Elections, like, because we currently have a programs and services chair and we have a vice chair. So are you proposing that there's going to be other members who want to?
Can we move forward? This question, is everybody okay? And I know that we just want to rotate, which is perfectly fine in January, which is Mark, do you mind if I say here? Mark, which wants to go to policy and budget.
Well,
As of, I know, right? So, in January, so I do know for OCEC, someone will need to step up as chair. So I know we need to vote on that, so that may be the only seat, I don't know. Justin, you know.
do you want like a vice chair to step up and a secretary for general cap too?
So my chair is always gonna be the chair of policy and budget.
Got it. And then secretary, and is there not another?
We don't have a secretary for the full board, that's what Garyana does.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So really.
Does anyone else want to be president of the board? Can I,
Anybody wanna be the chair?
or chair? Yeah.
No?
I guess we don't have
I
to do
can
elections.
do it.
Trying to oust you.
Anybody in here that voted? Are you sure? Well, once, or twice.
So do their elections.
Yes,
We don't do an election across the board.
no.
Right.
So because of that,
Never
this
mind.
would be the first time then, Garyana, because usually we do at the retreat kind of go around, decide what role everyone want to play. Since we have this unique situation and we already have new members, can we eliminate that? I've never done that
We didn't do it last year. We did it in the December meeting.
I don't even remember last year.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, so like it was already sorted out similar to it is right now, so we didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I was just told I was there last year, so.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have it on your agenda if it's already decided, but,
Perfect. Thank you. But I take care of that. And that just leaves OCEC, keep that in the back of your mind. Anybody that may want to?
You're looking at me.
I've looked down the road. All right, anything else? I appreciate these updates because I need these reminders because I cannot remember everything myself. And I need to know you guys, but I can't do it by myself. So thank you for these gentle reminders on some of these items on here. Anything else that we may need to cover that I have not, in reference to upcoming retreat, and it is, we will discuss how we want to do the retreat in a second, but anything else with the dates that we have for 2025? All right. Moving forward to agenda item number 6 for the ambassador meetings. So I know that we do have one report out right now. We can pull up the agenda. Before we go over that report out, can we go down to the yeah, that one. So I was just gonna go down the list and ask for everyone at that point, kind of give an update where we are. And then when we get to that particular member that did have a report out, we can then go back up and they can give the report out. So I'll start with me since I'm at the top. Wanda and I just completed our meeting with the CIO office yesterday, so we will have our report out for the next full CAP meeting. I am still waiting to hear back from the courts and behavioral health to get that scheduled. I know we may not hear back from behavioral health because right now they're working on the AOD with the whole behavioral health integration with the boards and the commissions, and have a lot on their plate. But I did reach out to Dr. Susanna as well as Garyana gave me a new contact for the court. So I'm hoping to possibly get something scheduled before our next meeting. But if not, I will have something for the CIO office, and I do understand due to it being the end of the year. So that's an update for the ones that are listed for me. Brenda, do you want to give an update on yours?
Let's see. Where am I? Okay. I'm waiting for DHS to get back to me. I have a meeting set up with, the sheriff's office on Monday. And then Joya is on the 26th of this month. And LEA, I have not gotten any response from them. That's what I'm got to let you know. So I will contact them a fourth time. Yeah. And that's all right.
And Ms. Raina Hurley? What else? And true. You need any help with those?
No, I don't
Okay.
want to.
And for H3, if you can get that one sent out, I know that it may be hard, but I would recommend reaching out to them as soon as possible because they're working on the pit count. Plus they have a lot of RFPs and grants that are going out right now and are like completely booked. So, get on their schedule, and just seeing if they can do it. I don't understand if they can't, but, I would definitely say even if you haven't reached out to the public defender's office yet, at least getting the communication out to H3, that way you get on their schedule. And then the public defender's office, usually they're flexible, and she's very responsive with hers, but H3 definitely, because they're in the process of a lot of stuff at the moment. And then let me know if you need any help, and I'll definitely step in.
You're very helpful. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Marcus.
Okay, so, on December 5th, we have our meeting with the district attorney's office. Justin thankfully set that up for us. That's coming up in a few weeks. I still need to schedule with probation and with Supervisor Burgess. Burgess was an add-on from our last CEC meeting, so I'll schedule that. And then Alexandria and I were able to meet with Supervisor Anderson and Jill Ray last month, so I need to actually do the report out for that. I'm a little sensitive to the report. It's something I wanted to discuss at the OCEC subcommittee. Just sensitive to, as you know, being a former department head myself, you know, what's actually going to go into the reports, because they're going to be public documents if we when we post them to this meeting, so they'll be shared with the public. So I just want to provide some feedback as we go through the ambassadors guide at the OCEC subcommittee.
Do you want to wait to your report out to December, or you want to read what you have already?
No, I don't have it completed.
Okay, because usually what the process is supposed to be, we send them back and then you guys look at them and then we print it out. I mean, there's usually, but yes, definitely adjust it, make some recommendations on there. I don't think there really was any guidelines given to them, but the sheet, and then we just know, say,
No,
on their report. that they
Right, I
did.
understand. I want to be sensitive of the people that we're meeting with.
I appreciate
Many
it.
are, you know, most are elected officials, and, you know, me writing up my notes, not necessarily, I don't want to make sure that we're mindful of that, so that we don't, not that it's, yeah, exactly.
I definitely appreciate that feedback. I did not give that any thought on the years I've been on here. So that's, I definitely would like to know, like, how you.
Well, I think it would maybe even be a preferred method for me, and this is just a suggestion, is that we do a verbal report that just summarizes our meeting.
Instead of writing it and making it sticky stuff.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Well, again.
I think another recommendation is what I did is I sent it to the person we discussed with and said, this is what I'm gonna be submitting.
Yeah.
So that they can provide any feedback if they want to make any changes.
Okay.
Because I think if we just verbalize it, it's similar, like it's still in public comment. Our interpretation, so, but yeah.
No, I totally understand. I mean, it even gets into, you know, I think it even would suffice at times if we were to maybe even consider saying that the meeting took place, so that they met and the topics that were discussed, just very high level.
Mhm.
I appreciate this feedback, as this, I think part of this may have been part of my assignment, looking at the assignment and the report out, the larger report out. So these pieces on how we're gonna process it. A verbal report to the group, written and submitted to the interviewee, and then coming back to submit to a larger tab, and then we give it back. Those are excellent, and I think I was also looking for sort of a timeline as to when the report was supposed to go back. And I think these pieces will help, because it was a bit unclear as to, it's just like return it by what date? If I don't have a date, it'll be in the air.
Okay.
Or just, I guess, like a time frame, and we know that we're gonna do 1, 2, 3 things. So this excellent recommendation would be that I would add in the report out section.
So Garyana, when would you need, the information sent to, so I guess we have a discussion right now because Garyana has the deadline on when she has to get everything inside, of the, agenda. And we do want to make sure that, you know, either we follow the process that Mark said, we do the verbal, or like just sent back. We want to make sure that, I really appreciate that feedback, because I've never thought of that. I've just always heard about what we've talked about and never thought about the back lens of it. So that makes me think about all the other ones that I've done. I don't think we've stopped and thought about how to report things out. So I do appreciate that. So how do we as a committee want to move forward at the end? Well, right now, as they work on that, but how do we want to, you know, move forward with the feedback that we get right now? Do we want to do a verbal, write it out? And if so, we need the deadline from Garyana on when she will need that information from each of us. Like, what do you guys feel comfortable with?
When does OCEC meet
Next week on, Tuesday.
Could they discuss and like make a recommendation and send it to the larger group?
Does that work for OCEC?
It does, because I actually have, and I don't want to take us off, but I actually have a recommendation for, you know, even taking into consideration what was brought up earlier as far as when a good time of year is to do the ambassador meetings. What I'm getting at is, I feel like we're crunched to get it done right now, and that really shouldn't be the purpose. I think the purpose is really for us to, all be on the same page, reach out to those that we're assigned to, and give them information on what the CAB does, what our purpose is, what our vision is, what our recommendations have been, and to open up a line of communication with the respective board of supervisors or the members of the CCC. And so I think that for all intents and purposes, this cap has reset because of the turnover. And there's also going to be a new board of supervisor in place because of the election. And we're coming up on the end of the year and the holidays. And my recommendation is going to be that we set up a schedule for this to be completed at the beginning of the year, like the first quarter of the year, so that we can have some meaningful meetings with those that we're assigned to. And we'll have the full cap in place. So we after the retreats, I think we'll have a little bit better foundation of what we are and what our purpose is. And we'll be able to charge and move forward. Because right now, like when Alexandria and I met, it was a great meeting. Super thankful that that Jill was able to set up the meeting for us. But it was more of an introductory type meeting because Alexandria and I were pretty new to the CAB. And so we use that as an opportunity to explain why we joined CAB, what we plan to do, and to hear from the supervisor on what her priorities are and just background on the work that she does within the county. And so I think that we did highlight the recommendations that were made for the AB 109 excess funds, but that's really the extent of it. And I feel like if we try to crunch it in, that's really all that we're going to be able to maybe accomplish right now.
Right.
When if we do a post the retreat, that we may have some more information that we want to share, you know, as a CAB, but then also have, you know, the opportunity to really use it as a stepping stone for what's going to be needed for policy and budget for programs and services, and then the OCCs.
So I definitely agree with the feedback. So I'm definitely going to tell you all on why you feel that way, because you did walk into CAB at a very strange time. That's usually not the way that things are. Usually when we have these meetings and the reason why it's put to the end of the year is because we pretty much already focus on our recommendations, right? So when we have the meetings are to talk to, for example, the district leaders about here is what we achieved for the year. And we can still change it. I just want to give some context on how it normally goes. So by the end of the year, we've had our survey, we have an idea of what budget items we want to move forward. We have ideas in reference to our key priorities that we worked on for the year and our recommendations going into the new year. So usually our meeting is to go over, here is what we've done for the whole year. Here is what our recommendations are that we're going to move forward going into next year. And we want their feedback on what they think we should work on going forward. That's normally how it goes. But because of that turnaround, everything kind of fell out of place. So we decided to make it a tad bit easier because everyone was new, we'll just kind of focus on those 819 access funds. So it's sorry it felt that way because it's usually not supposed to be in that manner, but that's why it was at the end. I do like the recommendation to the beginning, so I think it is something that we should all talk about as OCEC meet when they want to make those adjustments and bring that. Again, I am open for change. I think we all are to hear your feedback on how, and especially your insight from the role that you played in other counties. We don't have that part of it. So to be able to hear that and hear from Jill is really great. So I'm really open to hear the ideas that you guys have about how we should change it. But technically, it wasn't supposed to feel that way this year. So we are rushing. We're trying to get something together because now that policy and budget has to go in front of 60 people, our next year recommendations, we want to catch anything that we can from these meetings to adjust to what we have. So it's going to feel crunch. It's going to feel rush. It's not meant to be. But unfortunately, but I like that idea. So I just want to give some context on why it was at the end of the year. It wasn't meant to be like this. It was to say, here is what we've done. Here's our recommendations that we want to do next year. What is your feedback? Here's our pillars. Here's our CAB focus. What do you want us to work on? What are your ideas? We usually bring that back to the full CAB so that we can make adjustments to our recommendations if we want to. Policy and budget. Usually adjust their documentation if they need to, then we'll report out. That was the flow for the past couple of years, but you know, new year, new thing, right? So let's have that discussion. I like that. You sure you want to leave OCC? Can be in class, we have the right ideas. Go ahead with Mark suggested we will wait for the OCEC as something that they have a discussion on the feedback that he had on how we can move forward as a community be with the report outs. At that point, you can share information with all of us at the board, how they want us to do it, and then we can move forward if it's gonna be verbal, written, or whatever that change may be for the next full CAB meeting. And then we can discuss in detail what it should be as well.
Before we move on, I did have a question since I won't be a part of the CC subcommittee meeting. Since I'm part of the program and service, I don't want to affect the quorum or get out of it. But
As a regular person,
okay, what I want to say. My question is, what is the purpose of the ambassador assignments in these report outs? And me personally, I appreciate the different entities, stakeholders and supervisors stance in support of the body. And also, I appreciate to know the perspective. And I think that, part of the board and our role is to have some transparency to the community. So that was kind of my questions. I understand it's like a fine line, but I don't want to take away from the purpose if that is the purpose of the CAB ambassadors. No, I was just like, it's kind of a question and, maybe when you all have the conversation in the subcommittee, if y'all are more comfortable, that can be potentially considered as well.
and if you want, I'll say this. Because, we do want to hear what OCEC have the feedback that they give, and we do want to have that discussion as a full board. My recommendation, is still type it up. And still send it. We'll hear what their response, what OCE recommends going forward. And then we'll have that, discussion. I think it's room for us to go into, a more of a deep dive as well as at the retreat. Really fine tune how we want to do this, but, just figure out a way how we want to end, this year. So I appreciate that feedback too. Anybody else? Any feedback from outside of, the referrals that we gave? Any feedback from anyone on that's new and how they, well, I heard your feedback. Anybody else want to give feedback from any other members on how they felt when they've done? There's anybody else get to, how you feel right now? For those that haven't done it yet, do you feel prepared? Have any questions?
I'll share an update. So
Okay.
out of my assignments, we have been able, I and Demetria and Justin have been able to complete one. We have 2 others scheduled, so we're actually able to meet with Supervisor Glover, whom I think the uncomfortableness is just more on my end and overthinking. He was super just like welcoming. Of course, he's already really knowledgeable of the work that, the body does, and he's very supportive of the community that we serve, and our just generally, he made it very comfortable and really just kind of reiterated with our areas of focus to be intentional around what's already in place. And then also, as well as other community stakeholders buy-in and like county entities, just maybe going from the angle of how we can support, or, what is their goal of safety in the community instead of coming and ask. So we definitely had a great conversation. We even spoke of a potential warm handoff with the new supervisor to be. So it was definitely a learning experience. I learned how I could prepare for the next 2 meetings, which I've already met with Brenda since then, and I feel super prepared for the upcoming assignments. And I think, just it's really interesting, of course, you want to share, our reason, our purpose for joining the CAB, and also learning, the other party or entities like purpose or their stance for the work that we do in the CAB. And then just being able the opportunity to really like chew and work on the focus and the body is, I enjoy the opportunity, and also to learn around other individuals' perspectives, specifically for the different roles that they hold. So I invite you all. It's okay. It's exciting. It's low stage fright at first, and it's really great conversation. The time goes by really quickly. I also have my homework to type up on the report, and also capture Justin and Demetria's notes and get it over to Gariana. And I'm really looking forward to the 18th with the sheriff's office this Monday, actually, and then the 26th with Supervisor Joyce, who I'm also really excited to our assignment.
I'll definitely tell you have fun. I know there's a script there. The script is just there to just keep you on task. Go off the script. Go with the flow. Sometimes the conversation will change, like, you know, what me and Rolanda did yesterday. We have the script on, so let's just go with it. And you may start off in one way, but follow their lead on where they go. I do love, for me, is adding that, like you said, adding that, they give an opportunity to actually why. Why did you join CAB? And then that personal touch, in reference to, you know, your purpose and what you love and really hear you. So it's your opportunity. So have fun with it. I appreciate the feedback. The first one was scary for me. I had stage fright, which I know is not, you're like, really? Yep, I was. But after a while, after you've done this for a while, it's just gonna flow right off of your tongue. So, that is expected for your very first meeting. But just look at it where it's your actual stage to be able to be the voice for the voiceless and talk about what you love. And, don't feel bad if you go off of the script that we gave you. It's not meant for you to have to read it word by word. It's just in case you forget on why you're sitting there, you have something to go back to and kind of look at those items. So I just wanted to pin that there to make you feel comfortable that it's okay to go off of the script. Jessica, I didn't forget you. Did you? I think I had you.
I think everything is scheduled or completed except for H3. I want to give shout out to Tiffany and Demetria. I think when we met with Glover, they just did a really great job of being themselves and showing up and adding their voice to the conversation. And I think, to your point, it's hard as a new member to kind of step into that. So I appreciate kind of just bringing your own lens to the situation, to that conversation. It's really great. And then in the packet, I do have a write-up from the Supervisor Carlson's conversation. Again, Demetria did a great job with her first one. I think you saw, I don't use the script at all, and I just kind of talk to the work that we've done and my personal experience with it, especially bringing in community-based organizations and their voice that we're trying to amplify in this space. I do want to call out at the bottom of the external meeting, there was a couple recommendations that he had, and if you read through the narrative, it's a little more in detail. But he brought up the idea of doing some countywide training or interactive video. He spoke of an experience where he, with his staff, I think, had to go through the process of getting access to social service agency benefits, and they like had to bus across town to a meeting to then go to this other meeting. And it was just very eye-opening for him to walk through those steps because of all of the barriers that individual has to face that the county departments aren't necessarily thinking about when they're developing these programs. So it was very cool for him to kind of raise that up as an opportunity for us to incorporate into future recommendations. He loved the alignment with continued education. He had spoke that he understands how difficult it is and that sometimes education becomes secondary or tertiary to your own individual requirements, whether it's housing or food or stability for your family, but wanted to, as we continue to invest in these other priorities, not forget that we still need to support educational pipelines. And the last thing was just a request to continue to invite law enforcement to our conversations. He thinks that they are, a huge part of this system that is designed to hopefully support individuals who are experiencing incarceration. And so it starts with that first interaction with law enforcement. And so we should bring their voice into this conversation as well.
I was very excited to see this report out when I read it because I just chuckled. I was like, okay, we already have a good idea for next year. One of the ones that stood out for me, especially the sheriff, including the sheriffs, definitely stood out. That was a great idea. I know that Mark's brought up at one point of trying to get probation as well, like just right that pipeline. So I thought that was a good segue. But that part of reference to the education pipeline was one. So I think it's important that we uplift the work that is currently being done and how we strengthen that, because we did have Office of Education come do a presentation for our work group.
Yeah.
So really digging deep programs and services into the services that are currently being done in the jails around the education, understanding that and how do we strengthen that, that pipeline. I know that it was something that we talked about this year, not to this extent, but we kind of put a pin on it as we worked. But I know education was brought up.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see a new idea.
It was very cool to have Demetria
Yes,
at that call.
because she's in it too.
Yeah, like we're doing it.
It's, I smiled when I read it because it's just, there's a lot of work that's currently being done that is unknown. So now is an opportunity to really elaborate on that work that's being done in Rising Scholars and the work that's being done with the Office of Education currently inside the jails, and what is needed to strengthen them to ensure that people can continue their education, what barriers and gaps are there, what's needed. So that made me excited. I did read it before we got here, so I'm like, well, that's, I like new goals. Any other feedback from members of the report out or the members that were part of the conversation?
Well, we're also on education, and I'm also wearing my other hat, having Demetria here. Something else that I'm just like so excited about and like really proud of is in partnership with Contra Costa College, specifically Demetria and the Reentry Success Center, we've actually been able to bring our Alpha cohort, some of our members, like on field trips and provide them transportation to the college, receiving a tour of the college, like meeting Demetria, meeting other individuals at the school, receiving swag bags, just actually seeing what it would look like. Should they want to enroll or partake in higher education in the college, or how accessible it is, and just the support system and the partnership that's already in place. So, you know, we had some who were really opposed, like, oh, I haven't been a school, like, no. Even other individuals who, you know, maybe weren't able to finish their commitment at that school in the past and really didn't really want to return, and then coming back after I happened to be on site, and like the environment, you know, the atmosphere was really exciting. And I actually was so happy I went, like, thank you. You know, they had like a total 180 on their perspective or outlook on school after having coming back from the trip. So I think it can be really kind of like, you know, hesitate, can steer away based off past experiences, but actually having allies in the higher education system and having someone to really walk you through it and just receive you, it really opens up our members. Like, it can, maybe I can go to school, maybe this is a possibility, or I can consider it. So I also want to work with some of the current partnerships or just the work that's being done in Contra Costa. Demetria is like great. Whenever the members have to go, I'm like, don't worry, we have Demetria. We'll get you over there.
Yeah, thank you. I do appreciate doing the phone of being kind of thrown in to this. Justin was great with sort of like, I'll take the lead and having a very, it was very conversational, and so I really appreciate that, and it helped me kind of learn how to approach this the next time, you know, after the lead. And then like Tiffany did a really great job when we met with Supervisor Glover. The one thing that I think that's important, kind of what you're also saying, is like the partnerships, because I know I have students, if I refer to Reentry Success, who've gotten support as well. And that was one of the things that we talked about in the conversation with Federal Glover, is how AB 109 participants' lives intersect with more than just one partner,
Right.
or even service in the county, and how do we help sort of bridge those gaps so that, you know, the students are getting the support that they need based upon their own identities and what their needs will be based upon that. I think that's something that's really important. And so just to hear that from Cartha as well as Glover, yes, we have to continue those partnerships and be intentional, was refreshing for me to hear, because I'm like, okay, so on this higher level, they are thinking about being intentional. They are thinking about how those partnerships work. And Glover talked a lot about the data and making sure that's how we can assess that we're doing what we're set out to do and being intentional, is having the data to support it and knowing, using that to make shifts and changes if we need to as we continue working. So the whole, even though I know like we were rushed, it wasn't intended to, it was very eye-opening for me to participate in the call.
You got your notes for your. See, I'm delegating. Because when I walk out, I'll forget. Awesome. Any questions or feedback from any other members of what they heard or?
Yes, I'm over here beaming, smiling, and clapping because I think this is awesome. This is part of what the chaplains are doing on campus at the juvenile hall. And I've been working on putting together videos for youth to see what the services outside, like getting them kind of prepared to see what's gonna come in. So hearing this interactive video, for me, it just says you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to school and record? What's it gonna be like? It's already done. So putting that together or getting the film and getting the kids saying their feedback, like, oh, I didn't want to go to school, but now that I've gone to this retreat, it sounds nice. So using that in connection with the program already inside during their Sunday service, the 15 minutes where they show the video of what the reentry at school video will be like, okay, get ready, here it comes on that kind of area. So I'm just really excited that it's already happening in motion. We're developing it, want to pick it up, just use it even more. And like, yeah, I'm about to cry, like, yeah, yay. Yes,
Great feedback.
yes.
All right. Before I move on to our next, anybody else have any questions, feedback that they want to give? I just want to say good job, especially with all of you being new. And even those that have been here, I still give everybody the new. The feel credit, right? Good job at tackling these. I know that to the fire and said go. Thank you for being able to take that and run with it and, you know, we've been able to just add your individual piece to it. And come back with reports and already have ideas for the new year. So I'm already excited for it. Yeah.
My other comment, I guess, on the report out with Supervisor Anderson, I would like, I agreed, I enjoyed our meetings together, and I felt that I would like to meet with her more throughout the year. So thinking back on the idea of starting and having that first meeting earlier in the year. I know we time crunch, but we'll talk about it, but meeting earlier for the introduction and then this piece. But then a follow-up, a check-in, or just giving more room to let that breathe, marinate, let's talk about it, converse, because it did seem heavy, a bit on the interaction. And maybe, yes, Jill, you could tell us yes or no, but or if that works, or flexibility, but I think building the relationship. So maybe it just give me a chance to email her, or she remember who I am and who we are.
Go ahead, Jim.
Supervisor Anderson is always happy to meet with anyone. And, you know, as you probably already know, she sits on the JJCC. So, you know, the knowledge of the reentry system goes both adult and juvenile. So, but she's always happy to meet with anybody. Would be happy to meet with you, Alexandria, to discuss further.
And no. All right, so we'll go ahead and,
It came up about when to submit the reports, and I was looking over the schedule of meetings. It is noted about when we adjust the agenda posting due date and when items are due to ORJ. So I'm wondering when it comes to like, in the future, submitting the reports, you can use what's here so that the board knows when they meet, when the reports are due. Yes, okay.
and Gariana is really good with email. He reached out and exactly, I need this by Friday. So that's why I mentioned earlier, when we talked about, expectations for the new year. Figuring out how to make sure you see the emails that come from her and respond because she sends them out a lot and I know that we miss them in the midst of our busy day. So best practice tips, you know, I always either check at my lunch or I check before I go home, Or another best practice tip, if you prefer text message, please tell her. Because Ariana will follow up with you in text and say, hey, I sent an email, so. I'm just opening up some floors. Tell her how you communicate, because what she sends out is important, right? Yeah.
Yes.
If not, then I'll. And I'm bugging out every kind of way. Thank you. Any other feedback? Any feedback from Zoom? In the room? Got any questions? Breathe. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to our item number 6, which is the CAB ambassador meeting. I'm sorry, 7. Sorry about the number. Discuss CAB retreat for 2025. So we need to get that scheduled. Last year we did one meeting. And so the year before that, we did on Zoom, and I believe we did it in 2 meetings. The year before 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that discussion. Want to do it in 2 days or 1 day? Recommendation, I don't know if you all thought about it for last meeting. I would love to get it knocked out in 1 day versus 2 days, especially with us all having to work. I cannot take 2 days off to try to be here 2 days. I don't want to use 2 PTO days. I mean, I wanted to have that discussion here, that way that me and Brenda can start working on getting this put together. And how it's gonna look like. So I wanted to open up to kind of figure out what your thoughts is.
I'm sorry, I understand that this is a huge time commitment. So we have the general board, we have other committee group, and these meetings are occurring during business hours.
Right.
Is it possible to have the retreat on a weekend, or are we required to have it on a business day?
Good question. RJ, are we able to use this one?
I will check in to see if it's possible that we can get this building open and the space open for the weekend. If not here, we would just have to find another space. That also has the hybrid. Well, the main thing, because it has public, so we need to find another space that has that capability to ensure that members of the public can join via Zoom.
So what does it mean to be? I'm fine with doing it. It may actually be a lot better for me on a weekend, and I don't have to use today.
Yeah.
Would our committee members okay with using a weekend for a retreat? We get fed.
Work weekend with the way.
Yeah. Wait, I don't even got
I think it depends on the day, but
No, you take trips like every other weekend.
try.
It's the same, depends on the day, I mean, yeah.
Look at our calendar now.
And if people have an.
We're gonna be here before we go about. Or fill it and see what's available. Here.
In the past, has the retreat just included the cab or do any other stakeholders that give presentations?
Well, that is here, but it's just CAP, that's the presentation. Sometimes we invite back a previous CAP member to give their feedback, but it's more of just us and officers, it's open to the public if anyone wants to come in, but there's no other presentations. There isn't any room for any other presentation. It's a lot.
Chief has been here, she's in the last retreat meeting, not the entire day, but chunk of the day.
Would we be able to, get like, what I forget their acronyms already? What a need.
CAO's office?
Yes. To come, and talk about what they do. I don't think everybody, I know now because of the policy and
We
budget
can
work.
invite any that you guys, any stakeholders that want to take a part of the presentation.
And so that's something that we can think about. And if there's any members that may want to see someone or information definitely let us know because we have to put that together. Any dates that stand out for anybody?
So I'm going to January.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Have this building started, so we'll be taking 3 days of Saturday and then regular. Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
This is just like to say, I mean, there are other county buildings that are open on the weekend, so if it's not this place, then we could get another facility.
Yeah, we can look around. Again, the main thing is just as long as they have the technical capacity to handle being able to have a virtual option. That's the only thing. But, yeah, we can start.
Are we looking at January 18th?
January.
Can we possibly look at another weekend? Like, that's how long it is.
How does it?
I'm just kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I can't do,
And it looked like it was the 9th and the 10th, so
yeah,
Also, if we get one of the Saturday, we can propose. To have a. We have space.
Actually, before the pandemic.
It was at the end, yeah.
so, about the 25th. And then we'll go right into February of doing our meetings. Everybody okay with that? January. That's when you can't go with me. You was breathing. I didn't know. You didn't have to fight.
Here, that's the 25th. I love it.
Okay. Can you to make that note, please, September, Lord, January 25th, hold for CAP retreat. That is perfect.
And it'll, okay.
So we're pending location, and then more information will be given to you all. As Brenda, we gotta set some time to meet to. I know, I just have.
Yeah.
And we will be reaching out to other members. It's not gonna be, the reason why I keep hearing me say Brenda is because usually OCEC leads it, and putting everything together, and we work closely with RJ, so we will be using what we try to do is break down parts, so everybody can talk during the time, like take a little part. RJ has a lot that they talk about in there, so they cover a lot of it, but we try to serve, especially give you a chance, so, I mean, you want to step up and volunteer, you can as well.
Not about everything. Let you know, some other committees that I'm on, I can't, January, we haven't got our calendar yet. Okay, so I put a question mark there. So, yeah, January is one of our busy times, and they do a lot of weekend meetings. So I'm just letting you know, I need to know ahead of time so I can, I'll have to throw in the guys, I can't do this because
So like after January.
I wrote it down. I wrote it down. I put my meeting on Saturday in Sacramento. I will let you know. Okay, so I got, like, this Saturday, I got a meeting in Sacramento, so hopefully I'll get my calendar together by, hopefully get our calendars.
And I'm saying, Nicole, can you add me in to the, when Brenda's meeting? So
Oh, I was gonna add you, don't worry.
It's offered myself, give you.
We just said you.
Offered myself to support her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm
saying to you.
Proper put in and help me in a very, it helped me do a lot, so we do have to like, change it, how we want, but we at least have some. Okay.
Quick thing, if you all are interested, for a lot of newer members to see some materials we went over last year's for retreat, they are online, and I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, it is in the CAP drive that we set up for you. That part of it.
Yeah, I put that in.
And it also reminds me, are all the new CAP members in this room?
Yes.
Okay. We will double check. Just to be certain. So, that way you can kind of get a sense of all of the topic areas we cover. We do cover, the AB1 budgeting process here, kind of give the backstory on AB1, also sort of the history, have how it came to be, the work of the last several years, and then there's also time dedicated to where you want to organize yourselves. So to move from a subcommittee to another or select a subcommittee. I think many of you may have already done that, but and also start to think about what you want to prioritize for the upcoming year. So that's it sort of in a nutshell. But if you want to see what some of the materials, they do provide you a binder. It is a binder of materials. And it's a really great resource to refer back to because you're going to, as time goes on, you'll have questions that will come up for you. It's a good resource reference. We also go over operating guidelines, so you're clear on processing here and roles and responsibilities of different committees and responsibility as a member. I think that's it. Yeah, so it serves as an orientation, but then also an opportunity to do some reflection on prior year's work and prep for. And a little bit of team building.
Yes. Fun activities. And then after that retreat, I did charge myself with, updating or adding some stuff on the shared drive, because I have, saved somewhere.
Yeah.
But I want everybody to feedback after the retreat on what everybody really wanted to see before I just. So once you kind of see what they're gonna give you in the binder, and we kind of have a discussion, because it hasn't been touched in a very long time. What do we want in that shared drive, to be current in there, especially if you leave at the room. So if you don't have access to it, please. And again, if have everybody sent their updated photos and stuff to Garyana? I would love to have the CAP web page current. Current.
Yeah.
For the end of this year, please turn photos and your remember what you want to say. So it can all in a nice basis be on CAP, face. I keep checking them so I can turn. So we have to make that, okay. Any questions before I move on to our report outs? So good with time. So next section that we're going to go to is discuss report outs from CAP subcommittee and external meetings. This is the first one that start. So I'll start off with the board of supervisors. CAP did present with the GI Coalition as well as EHSD regarding the guaranteed income funding. It was amazing. It was great. I will say that ours got moved along. Policy and budget has some work to do. I'll give a more of a robust update at the policy and budget meeting next Monday. But we have been given the green light to move forward and to the next step in reference to what that will look like in collaboration with EHSD. So that was amazing. It was a lot of great feedback, great conversation, but we, as in reference to the reentry population, have been given the green light to build that out. So if you are able to listen in at the policy budget meeting, great. Again, we don't want to break quorum, so if you listen in, then all was all there, just listen. But I'll give them more detail on what the outcome will be, and there'll be a more discussion on our next steps for that. The next one I was almost, and there's no report out in there.
Nicole, if you want me to do BOS and PPC, I'm happy to do so. So just let me know.
No, go ahead.
Well, I would just say Nicole just did a very, very slight report there, but I have to say she represented you all phenomenally well at the board meeting. There was zero opposition to a GI program for the reentry population. There is a larger discussion on guaranteed income in the county that was approved, but That is yet to be designed or even what target population, but you all just, it flew through and Nicole really represented you well. So on that same agenda on October 22nd was also the sheriff's oversight report. And he has been requested to include gender specification as to who's incarcerated. So that hasn't been broken out thus far, and that's something that seems to be needed. And there also was approved at that meeting was funding to help our Employment and Human Services Department expand outreach, because we have a very slow participation rate in our county for our safety net services. And so hand in hand with everything else is to increase participation in all of those safety net services that we have, whether it's food insecurity, monthly, Medi-Cal or any of the rest of it. So that, and then on November 5th, the Board of Supervisors received a presentation from our Anti-Human Trafficking Division, a very, very big presentation. It was amazing, full of lots of great information. And on November 12th, just this week, was All Things Measure X, which is the half-cent sales tax in our county. They received updates on all current allocations and spending on that, as well as proposals for the remaining $9 million of unallocated funds in our county. And then public protection was canceled in November, and the next meeting is this Monday, and they're going to have a presentation on A3 and an animal services update, which doesn't really apply to this group. And then also the same time is a behavioral health care update on Care Court and the impacts on our county. So not at the PPC, it's a separate meeting.
I appreciate you. First on order, subcommittee. Tracy, have any updates you want to give before we move to our subcommittees?
Yeah, we do have a CCP update, which is that, PCP is meeting this Friday, tomorrow, right here in this room. If you're able to join, I encourage you to do so. This is technically their budget workshop for the year and prep for, spending allocations that'll be made for 26, excuse me, fiscal year. It's just a workshop tomorrow, so, no decisions will be made by this. The final vote on those recommended allocations that then move forward to PPC and POS will take place at their December meeting. And I think they're trying to get some dates locked down for the December meeting. But so tomorrow's meeting, I believe Garion sent out to you guys the agenda. So if you haven't had a chance to, I encourage you to check it out. It has the listing of all of the budget requests of every department. And as you all gave the call at the last DCP meeting when the CAO's office, Rudy Mendoza, shared what they're anticipating in terms of projections and where we're at overall with our own state allocation. It was recommended to all of the departments that they do not submit any program modifications, i.e. creating new programs or services or requesting additional resources other than if they're making some kind of reduction. So baseline requests were mostly made. That does incorporate COLA increases and things of that nature. So it will likely be a pretty straightforward conversation tomorrow, but again, check out those requests and be a part of the conversation. And I'm sure there may be, I don't know, I didn't look at the full agenda myself yet. It's been a busy day. But there will be some updates in terms of communication flow between CAO's office and all of the impacted agencies for the one-time 15 million that's been, dispersed and allocated. So
I think it is fun when they send an invite out.
to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not on the agenda, Patrice. There's no discussion of that.
Okay.
Other than it's just in the budget.
May happen in.
Okay.
But just anticipate that there will likely be some communication coming from CETA.
Was the COLA increases recommended for the CBO contract
For the 24, 24, 25, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
for 25, 26,
25, 20,
like this upcoming discussion? Because
I
I,
believe so. I'll double check. I
Okay.
believe so.
Yes.
It's usually
Yes.
considered- it's usually considered.
That was the question that we had.
yeah, we had it last
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
That's cool. Great, thanks. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Moving on to our,
Oh, I'm sorry,
sorry,
one
go
more
ahead. No,
thing.
go ahead.
I would highly encourage you all, if you are just interested in the guaranteed income conversation, just backtrack. Check out the, it was a very long meeting, but the October 22nd Board of Supervisors encourage you to check out the video on that. It was a really, no matter where you stand in terms of your thoughts around guaranteed income, it was I like to think it was a very interesting and educational conversation that I think needed to happen in a public space between supervisors and community. And so again, I encourage you to check it out.
Any other updates?
I would just add in, and maybe you're going to say this, Nicole, but with the passage of Prop 1 and the legislation that went hand in hand with it, there is now in the county, and Nicole knows this because she's been on the working group, but our alcohol and other drugs advisory body and our mental health commissions are being disbanded, and we are forming a new behavioral health advisory body as is mandated by the state. And so that will go live in there'll be discussions at the Family and Human Services as to what that will entail. And then it will go live in January with a robust outreach effort to find membership for that. And it really goes hand in hand with changing the way we treat people who have both behavioral, have mental health and substance use difficulties. And it will allow us to do a co-occurring treatment going forward, which in the past, as many of you know, you could have one or the other, but you're not allowed to have both. So we're super excited about this, but it means a lot of change and a lot of anxiety amongst our alcohol and other drugs advisory body members, minus Nicole, and our mental health commission members have been very anxious about the change. So, but Nicole has been very supportive and helpful.
No, thank you. That was my next item, so I definitely appreciate you. But no, just to add to that, as I said earlier, I definitely encourage you to join the meetings. If you're going to listen to the Mental Health Commission as well as the ALB boards, definitely join to give some input. If you are interested in joining additional committees, definitely talk to your supervisor about that. But it's very exciting on the work that's coming. It is about time that the two are coming together as under one umbrella. So I am a very excited individual because they go hand in hand together. And very excited about the work that's being done and the combining the two together and how that's going to play. So I really want to see the outcome of that. I was trying to look really quickly, but I know there's going to be a meeting somewhere in December, and unfortunately I didn't write it down like I was supposed to. If I find it, I'll share it with Garyana, but I know there's some meeting coming up in December, Jill, that's going to talk about this in more detail that I got notification on. So I have to find.
Family and Human Services is November 25th. There'll be, that's when Supervisor Carlson is coming forward, well, apparently with our office too, but we haven't heard from them, to put together the board order that will be discussed at Family and Human Services that will create this new body.
Like I just got the email yesterday and so write that down. But if you're interested in learning more, I definitely tell you to, especially if you're depending on what, like you're working with the juveniles or the programs and how you're at the college, it really touch into the population that you have to work with every day. So I encourage you to kind of see what's going on and speak, advocate, voice about your own expertise and be there. So I'm a high believer, and I know that we're busy. I'm on all kind of boards. I like being busy, but definitely expand your knowledge and join different boards and advocate for different levels. So thank you for adding that piece, Jill, and the update on that. Any questions from anyone about AOD? I did want to add before we went out to our subcommittees, in reference to the Council of Homeless, as I mentioned earlier, they're working on the pig count. So they are looking for people to sign up. I'm on that committee. So I've done it. I did it last year. It's at 5 a.m. in the morning, 0:30. And you do end about 8. So, I mean, it was exciting for me. I just wanted to experience. I wanted to know what did it look like? Like they're collecting this data. How are they collecting that data? So if you are curious on how this data is collected, that they're reporting about the homeless, join.
So who's this again?
It's the Council of Homeless, it's the pig count. So if you're interested in that, definitely join. If you have time, I know the Council of Homeless meetings may seem long, but they're from 1 to 3 every second Thursday. So we just already had our one for January. Join those meetings as well and listen in and give some feedback. But I definitely recommend if you're interested in that, join that. I'm very excited about, don't know if you guys all seen an RFP that went out with regards to our 819 access fund, so that's being worked on as well. So definitely take a look at that, but I wanted to pin that there in reference to the pig count. And there's a lot of funding opportunities that are going to be coming up when it comes to the Council of Homeless.
One other thing to mention, I missed the last part of the word, my understanding, before we have.
Yes, and I met them first. Thank you. I met them at the Partners and Providers. So our team has officially launched. It has already started. They are actually getting a lot of individuals, even from the detention health staff. So it's working out amazing. They came to the Partners and Providers. We did a presentation. So they're already working with the 8109 providers. And for our new members, what that means is it's a connection from when you're for like pre and post police services. So it's for our recommendation number 4. So we recommended funding be created for one. Number 1. Thank you. Correct me because they're all in there. I'm thinking of pre and post. For the housing, we put funding, we allocated funding to have our own reentry core team to focus on our 8109 population. So I'm very excited. They've already hired their new staff member, 2 staff members, and they are amazing. And they've already been at the jails picking up individuals. Matter of fact, I got notification from Health Right 360 that they picked up an individual and took them to Health Right to get enrolled into an SLE. So it's, it's even collaboration with the partners. It's working. So yeah, it's exciting.
They're called the
core.
team.
It's a regular core team through H3, but it's our reentry core team. So
Just want to make sure I got it.
yes.
I got distracted questioning. I got a youth and young adult homelessness panel that's today, and so I was like, okay, wait,
like
that's different. Guys, is that the same one?
It's the same agency that's administering that too.
Oh, okay.
That's focused on the youth side. This one, folks who are being released from jail and also who are just unhoused, who have a system background or connected to the justice system. So, and that was all due to this violence. Yes, you guys did that.
So it's to bridge that gap with them walking out, from the facility and then after they've been transported to a shelter. Was really excited that they were going to transfer to a provider. The intro that individual got to the next step. So that was amazing to already see it started. And then the individuals have the experience. They are, they're just great. So they did a good, they hired some amazing people and the clients are getting the service that they need. So I definitely would say it'll be great to invite them next year to come and talk about the work they've done for these next couple of months and what they've experienced and just present to us all here at CAP and give an update. And it's an update on the other items. We are still working on those. So, everything has been pushed through and approved. So we're finalizing. So that was the first one to go and working. As I said, the RFP for the housing has been put out there. Already the priority number 4 regarding GI and gender responsive services have now moved forward. So now we're in that next stage of getting the next steps in place to get hopefully get the RFPs and stuff out there. Have some more updates for you all. I always get it mixed up with the priority 4 because it's all tied to.
Yeah.
Been looking at it for too long. Yeah, I've been looking at it for too long. So, all right. Moving to our committee updates. The first one is
Okay, as you can see, we last met October 29th. There's 4 of us that attended, Brenda, Alexandra, Nicole, and myself. just, you can see on the screen, just a few things I wanted to highlight. We did have an interview for a cab applicant. She unfortunately didn't join the meeting today. Just to give you an idea, some of the questions that we asked are just general, why do they want to be on a part of the cab? What type of experience do they have? And then we also tried to express to them the level of engagement that's needed to be on this community advisory board, that it's more than just one meeting a month. There's multiple meetings and it's a time commitment. And so that's something that I wanted to make sure that we made clear to people that are applying for CAB, because I think that, I'll speak for myself, didn't really take into account the amount of time that's needed to actively be engaged. It's a big time commitment. So I want to make sure that people are aware of that when they apply to be a member of the CAB. We did review our CAB and the ambassador program assignments. And so that's included in the packet. So appreciate everybody that's already completed some or most of your ambassador meetings, and appreciate the conversation and the feedback that you posed earlier in today's discussion. We did assign members, so between Brenda, Alexandria, and myself, sections of the CAB Ambassador Program Guide to review. So we are updating that to see where there's areas where we can refine or make tweaks or changes to it. We're going to be discussing that, I believe, at our next meeting next week. And then also, we're in the process of updating the PowerPoint for the CAB. And so I have some proposed edits that I shared with Ariana. So that'll be discussed at a forthcoming meeting and then shared with the full body. Really what we're trying to attempt to do is have a standard template of a PowerPoint that any of us could use if we're making a presentation in the community, not just for recruitment, but for, outreach and to let people know what the CAB does. So I think that there's a good foundation for what's been in place, but want to make sure that it's nimble enough that we can use it in, different types of meetings and scenarios. And that's something that we can all be comfortable with. And then our next steps, we are tasked with developing an onboarding process for new CAB members. And then, as Nicole mentioned, OCEC is also tasked with planning for and implementation of our annual retreat. So, we're talking January, 2 months from now. So in a short amount of time, we'll be putting together that agenda and making sure that we have people lined up for a good retreat in January. And then a standing item, which I believe is part of all of our subcommittees, is our work plan. That's going to be an ongoing item for each of the subcommittees to work on. And so with that, I think that covers our meeting from October, unless anybody else has anything to chime in. That's it.
The only thing I'll add is I appreciate Mark at the comment and represent time commitment. Being a part of CAP for so long, you don't think about those things. So being able to hear it from his perspective, I appreciated that, to make sure that when we're talking with people, we really go into depth on the time commitment that they understood. So definitely bring those things back so that we can keep them fresh on, what you're experiencing. I just want to say thank you for that. So I'm gonna move over to our next, which is programs and services. So I led the meeting, but I want to make an announcement that we have a new chair, which is Tiffany. So she took great, awesome notes and then just referred off. So I'm going to pass it over to her so she can take her role.
Thank you, Nicole. So on Thursday, October 31st, the Program and Service Subcommittee was able to come together. Present for this meeting was Nicole, myself, Rena Hurley, Rena Moore, Tracy Simpson, Rolanda Hughes. Staff present was Kimberly Aseo and Patrice Guillory, and also present Jill Ray, Travis Grindle, Janet Evans, and Cheryl Sudin. Our meeting highlights, of course, we went over roll call introductions. There was no public comment. We also had an approval of minutes from the past meeting on July 18th, 2024. The motion was moved by Renee. I second the motion and the motion carried. We were able to review and discuss the in custody survey, through the detention facilities. We were also able to go over the program and service subcommittee work plan as to what's already been completed and what still needs to get done. In addition, we discussed and revised the CAB Ambassador Program Guide and went over those assignments. We also were able to discuss the AB 109 Community-Based Organization Grid with the intention to continue to add to that. We were also able to discuss AB 109 funded community-based organization site visits. And in addition, we discussed and nominated program and service subcommittee appointments. The next steps were to email Jody Shishinite, I'm so sorry, Jody, her last name. From the sheriff's office to invite her to our next program and service subcommittee so that we can ask them follow-up question and results in regard to the results from the in-custody survey. Jody has agreed to come to the next program and service subcommittee, so we're looking forward to be able to go over the results with her. Some other next steps are to review and discuss program and service subcommittee work plan. Every meeting with a focus on ensuring that treatment facilities, sober living environments, transitional homes, and AB 109 funded community-based organizations are ADA compliant and accessible. We're also looking to ensure that throughout our members here on this board, we're able to go over or we look at assignments for external board meetings and subcommittees. That way we are informed of updated information and outcomes from the other work that's going on throughout the county. In addition to adding community-based organizations and county entities to the AB 109 community-based organization grid. So we just want to keep that as a live document and invite everyone to contribute to that. That way we can really focus on strengthening the work that's already being done in the county and seeing how we can leverage or create those partnerships to best serve the population. Kind of like, you know, cross-pollinating, even though the focus may not be reentry, they may be touching and serving reentry individuals. And action requested of the full CAB, just the work plan update, program and subcommittee update. And the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 21st from 11 to 12:30, which we were able to find all members of the subcommittee are available. And we will try and keep the third Thursday of the month in that time frame, if everyone's schedules permits.
And I just want to add to what Tiffany said in reference to the survey results, once they got the information from Jody, because they had a really robust conversation. Some good feedback came up from all of the members and our existing members on what they wanted to, based on the results that was there. Then they'll give a full report out to CAB. And just remind everyone, programs and services have decided to focus on women this year because of our results from last year mainly came from the jail. So they'll be very excited to be able to report that out to you all. And then for the community-based organizations and the county entities, wanted to just add to remind for our new members of what that was. So last year we had decided to put together a spreadsheet of all of our CBOs and what services they provide, as well as our county partners. What I decided to do was to keep that list, but more it's just as a resource document for us. So we have to get that updated currently. We have not added the county partners. County partners are such as like H3, EHFD, County, things like that. And the reason why I decided to keep that is a lot of our members may not be familiar with all of the programs that are out there outside the CBO. So the document is really just to say, here's our CBOs, here are the services they have, regardless if it's funded through the funding they have now or if it's connected to another provider or not. It's just a grid so everybody knows what services our CBOs provide and what county programs are out there. Also, to piggyback off of that, I'll add in December, already had a meeting summit. Tiffany was there, a representation of RSC because they held our meeting last year we had it, it will not be done by Contra Costa County this year. It will be done by Santa Clara County. Some more information to come on that, but that grid is going to be very important to share as well. So I'll give more information to you on December when that's more fine too. But I wanted to add the context to what these items were that Tiffany brought up and the purpose of those items. I think we can say something. All right, great job. Yeah. Thank you. Moving on to our next subcommittee, which is policy and budget. Over to Justin.
Really quickly, we went over the in-custody results as well. We reviewed the recommendations for 2024 and made the next step to repurpose the $15 million excess funds recommendation as our 25, 26 recommendation, and just include a cover letter. So that cover letter has been sent across the team. We're going to review it on Monday for full approval. We do have a next step on here. It's the share the RFP from H3, which I don't think we've done. And I think we wanted to raise up for programs and services, calling out support for individuals with learning disabilities as a population to explore additional resources or supportive services into the next couple of years. And we meet on Monday.
All right. That is the last report. So before our next meeting, the next item on the agenda, our next meeting is currently scheduled for Thursday, December 12th at 10 a.m. Is that still good with everybody? Yeah. Before we adjourn, is there anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
So, our office is also one of those agencies that are impacted by the one-time 15 million.
Congratulations.
Yes. And we, also have the new contract cycle that will be up for existing AB 109 providers that will be preparing for those RFPs as well. And so I know that there were a number of CAB members that had expressed in the past of being able to sit on the review panels. And so what I'm planning to do is schedule some time to host a procurement and proposal evaluation sort of 101 type of training for CAB members. I'm also doing the same thing for patient personnel so that they have an opportunity to get trained up and to anticipate in those sort of settings. So for any of you that wish to participate in any of those RFP panels, that will be happening next year. And also for any department, quite frankly, because this work overlaps with many different other service areas. So be good for you all to be trained up and know what to anticipate. So I am actually floating the idea of maybe, it will likely be virtual, but to also host one maybe in the evening, if that is convenient for folks. But I will likely send out email to the CAB and also for you to indicate your interest. Now, one thing to keep in mind, as you get trained up and once we get to the place of doing RFP panels, we will check to make sure that there's no conflicts for anyone to be able to serve on the panel. So just note that there are potential conflicts here. But nonetheless, we want to make sure you guys are up to speed on some of that stuff so that have a role to play in observing what some of the proposals are, the proposed services and their metrics and things of that nature.
So I will add this, even if you can't, because I know there's some conflict, even if you can't be on the panel too, we have to potentially help with the children. Being on other boards and going through processes to understand how people are done, how they're being scored, it's an eye opener. And it may change your whole perspective on the way that you view things. If that's something that you just want to know and learn, I recommend definitely just learning about it. I've learned so much this year, and it wasn't from the reentry aspect, just from different boards I'm on, actually just taking that time out to participate on RFP discussions or being on the panel to vote on things. My whole idea of how I look at the county, and not in a negative way, but how things are done, changed the way I view things. So, it's just, if that's your niche, I like to learn everything. I would definitely say, just to be able to have it under your belt and say, I know, it's a good thing to learn. So, looking forward to the email.
Yeah.
You already know I'm like, it's hard. That's not it. It's hard. Which hard.
So, really quick, what an RFP review panel consists of are individuals who then review the proposals that come in as a response to the RFP. And they score it against criteria that's already established.
Right.
And then they score those proposals and then they deliberate on who they think could be recommended to receive that award.
So it definitely changed that idea, especially if being someone that was a provider when you try to figure out how somebody could improve, how someone didn't. You know, and there's like this, like she does a scoring, make sure that it takes away the biases for anyone's opinion. And so it just gives you a better view of how things are done. It's an amazing experience. Actually, I'm a nerd, so. So when I say something's amazing, it may not be.
Using the sort of the analogy of education, think of it as like grading on paper. You know, grading, but within the context of how it work is with structure here. Really going to be best use of resources is this going to be effective.
So, we'll go ahead and adjourn to our next meeting, which again will be December 12th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. I lied, Mark, it's 12:02.